there are some stories that are interesting. The season begins next week. The soft launch in Japan, not for the American audience, for the Japanese audience, but baseball sold those games. They're making a killing. I'm hearing from boots on the ground in Japan that the Dodger merch, the Ohtani merch, is just insane. But they sell it anyway. But just because the Dodgers are there, they've got special merchandise. Anyway, as we wait for opening day in the land of the rising sun, some interesting chatter about the Dodgers and their spot atop the totem pole in baseball right now, the reigning champions of baseball, predicted to win the World Series again. So if you didn't hear about this, and maybe not, the Dodgers president, longtime sports executive Stan Kasten, rejection, Mutombo. He rejected being labeled baseball's new evil empire. Talking to Hall of Fame baseball scribe Jason Stark, Stan Kasten dismissing the notion that the Dodgers are the evil empire, saying they're neither evil nor an empire. Kasten followed up by telling Jason Stark that the odds of the 2025 season suggest a team other than the Dodgers will win the World Series. He said the odds makers claim there's a 75% chance that someone other than us, Kasten said, meaning the Dodgers, will win the World Series this year. So it's hard to be that evil or much of an empire if that continues. All right, so let us discuss. The question, Stan Kasten, baseball executive, Dodger executive, rejecting the idea that the Dodgers are the evil empire of baseball over the Yankees, or the new Yankees, if you will. So give me your school of thought on this one. So I've got Star Wars, Mayflower, and Boulevard. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make a pastrami sandwich. Wonderful sandwich. Top 5 sandwich, pastrami sandwich. So first of all, listen, I understand that Stan Kasten is a lifetime sports executive, and that's how you keep lifetime employment. You go, I don't want to be called evil. I've got to protect the brand. Brand. That thing. Nevertheless, all right, so Stan Kasten is trying to protect the brand. This is a feather in the cap on this side of the microphone for the Dodgers. It is an honor to be called the evil empire. Embrace it. There was this basketball player named Wilt Chamberlain back in the day, and he was the biggest, baddest guy in the NBA at the time, and scored 100 points in the game. You might have heard about him. And he once said that nobody loves Goliath, right? Well, he was Goliath. The Dodgers are Goliath. Paying these dingleberries over 20 years down the line on layaway payments, man of genius. Just wonderful. So my advice here, to the Dodgers is to go Star Wars, Return of the Jedi. Do you know what I mean? Maybe not. So let me explain. So the Emperor, if you remember this goes back many years, but it's a classic movie. So the Emperor attempts to persuade Luke Skywalker, remember, to join the dark side, and he's given the sales pitch on the dark side. And he said it's a good way of feeling justified and embracing your vengeance, or something along those lines, right? You got a lot of rage, and you can embrace it. So let the hate flow through you, was the line. Let the hate flow through you. And that's my advice. Ultimately, the Dodgers, the one thing they're missing, now you think about the Yankees when they were the evil empire, they had a great arch villain. The arch villain was George Steinbrenner, who was seen as the demon spawn, right? George Steinbrenner, the boss, and those kids are soft, pathetic, the next generation. But George Steinbrenner was a great villain. He was wonderful. He was a perfect enemy combatant and inherently sinister, a mischief maker. And it was either you win a championship or you're a loser. You kept firing managers. He was just wonderful. Like the Dodgers, Dave Roberts, I would have fired Dave Roberts 8 years ago. And Dave Roberts is still there. You know, he's doing his thing, and that's that, and no matter what, and they're fine. And it seemed like they're generally kind of nice guys, the Dodgers. And so they don't have a lot of those characteristics, but I would embrace it because everyone around baseball hates you. Like, all the other teams are jealous. Like, they don't have the good players. You get all the good players. And so you might as well. It's good for the sport. You need to have that evil side to it. And if the Dodgers are that, that's fine. Won the World Series last year. They're going to win the World Series this year. And Stan Kasten, what he failed to mention is the Dodgers are the biggest World Series favorite since the team that was called the Evil Empire, the Yankees, back 20-some years ago. All right, now, secondly, to the Tampa-St. Pete area, that is where the Rays, that's a baseball team, not a good one, the Tampa Bay Rays have abandoned a $1.3 billion stadium plan. They've just said bye-bye to it in Florida. So what does that mean big picture? What does that mean big picture? So it means that the Tampa Bay baseball team is on the endangered list. That the owner also is in timeout, Stu Sternberg. Now we know the rest of the story. There was a story a couple days ago that there was pressure from inside baseball to have Stu Sternberg sell the Tampa Bay Rays, and now we know he is really meatloaf. He's dead meatloaf is what he is, because from what I understand of this, and I'm certainly not there, and I'm just reading some details from those that are much closer to the situation, but as I understand it, the commissioner, Rob Manfred, the commissioner of baseball, personally and successfully lobbied these local politicians to get the stadium bonds approved and all that. He got everything signed off on to set up a new stadium for the Tampa Bay Rays. He cleared the jungle for a deal, got rid of all the rainforest and all that to build the ballpark, only to have the owner of the Tampa Bay Rays flip the bird and kill the switch. And that's it. The switch was killed, and then the deal's off. So warm up. The lesson is to warm up the Mayflower moving vans. If you're from Baltimore, you know what that means. So we now move the relocation clock of the Tampa Bay Rays baseball team from 90 seconds to 89 seconds to midnight, the closest it has been in years. The Rays mentioned Tampa Bay to Nashville, that very much in play. The last time a team left, although they're not there yet, the formerly Oakland Athletics. You're old enough to remember when Oakland had the Athletics, and they're moving to Vegas. Vegas was supposed to get an expansion baseball team. Vegas instead getting a team that's kind of like an expansion team, the Athletics, but they're going to be in Sacramento, but they don't want to mention Sacramento. They're embarrassed by Sacramento. Sacramento's like a booty call. They don't want anyone to know they're with Sacramento, even though they're playing in Sacramento. They're kind of embarrassed about it, so they have shame for Sacramento because they don't want to say the word Sacramento. So they're just saying they're the Athletics, and they don't want anyone to know that they're sleeping with Sacramento. It's a big mess. All right, now, final thought. To Boston spring training camp. Well, it's in Florida, obviously. But after a lot of controversy a couple weeks ago, remember the story regarding Rafi Devers and Alex Bregman, the cheating Astro, forever a cheating Astro. And so Bregman joined the Red Sox, and there was this great debate. Is Bregman going to go to second base? Is Rafael Devers going to become the DH? And so Devers ruffled a bunch of feathers because he mentioned he was not interested in changing spots to accommodate the roster demands of the manager, Alex Cora. So now he's evolved, if you will. Rafael Devers now says that he will do whatever the Red Sox want him to do regarding third base and designated hitter. If they want to move him, that's fine. Do you believe him? All right, so I spent a couple of seconds deliberating on this, and as I was sashaying into the studio, I said, you know what I'm going to do on this one? I'm going to get in the car, and I'm actually going to drive down the boulevard. I'm going to go on the boulevard, and it's Skeptics Boulevard. The sign says Skeptics Boulevard because that's where I'm going. I'm going down Skeptics Boulevard. It is more likely than not that this is some scripted reality, that someone got a hold of Rafael Devers and coached him up, if you will, and said, here's probably how you should handle this. You might want to do this, trying to calm the waters down. Now, I suspect that he's not all that happy with the idea of changing positions. He's just now trying to play the game. And try to calm everyone down and all that. So this will continue to be a storyline, assuming one of two things happen. The Red Sox suck. That becomes a story. Or if Rafael Devers / Alex Bregman do not hit, and it is deemed that either the cheating a-hole or Rafael Devers are not hitting because of defensive issues, then it becomes a problem. Now, if they're contending and they're playing well and both players are hitting, the story goes away. It's all about the stumble, and I've fallen, and I can't get up. Clap on, clap off, the clapper. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about.